Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is the story about Naruto. What if Naruto become the next god of Shinobi? Part 1. Hope you'll enjoy this video. So before we start, please do support for more awesome content and also hit the subscribe button and share this video with your friends and also support the creator of this fanfic. I have created many playlists, check it out in the channel. So let's start the video. Unleashing the reason. The sound of heavy breathing could be heard through the dark streets of Konohagakure. The person had been running hard for a long time. He was just sleeping in his apartment dreaming of ramen when they kicked in his door. He shot out of bed and attempted to escape. One of those attackers saw him and launched a kunai at him. The small knife was still lodged into his shoulder. He stopped for a second but knew that he could not stay for long. What had he done to deserve such treatment from this village? He was born here just like everyone else, yet he was singled out. His own village cursed his existence, and he did not know why. He had done nothing wrong. He was just a 5-year-old boy who had a dream of being Hokage. Why did they hate him so much? He heard the voices of his attackers and began to move when someone appeared in front of him. "There you are, you little demon," the man snarled. He kicked him in the chest, driving the air out of his little body. He hit the wall with such impact that he spat up blood. He struggled to stand, but his attention was to the mob that finally caught up to him. "Please," he begged. "I've done nothing wrong." "Nothing wrong," it said, "you've killed our loved ones," shouted one. "I've lost my son because of you," another shouted. "You should have been killed the day that you were born," someone roared. "I don't know what you are talking about," he said. He suddenly screamed in pain as another kunai was lodged into his other shoulder. The mob started to grab glass and rocks. They threw the harmful objects at him. They didn't care that it hit him. They didn't care that he cried. He raised his arms to shield himself, but it was useless. Why aren't they stopping? Why isn't anyone coming to help me? Why do they hate me? Why? Why? Destroy them. What? Destroy them, eliminate them, and tear the flesh from their bones. Who are you? Look at what they've done. They deserve to die. Unleash your rage, unleash your anger, unleash your fury. The young boy let loose an inhumane roar that stopped the mob. The roar could be heard throughout the village. The mob watched as a red chakra engulfed the small blonde. His cuts began to heal at amazing speeds. The red chakra took the form of a fox. "It's the Kyuubi, he's unleashing the Kyuubi," a female shouted. One of them ran at the boy, hoping to end his life, but he never reached. He fell to the ground, blood spraying from his throat. Everyone watched in horror as the boy's hand was covered in his blood. He glared at the rest of them. He charged at the mob, not giving them the time to run. 3 figures ran on the roofs of houses. Each had a mask on their face and a sword strapped to their back. They were responding to the blast of chakra they felt earlier. As they ran on the rooftops, one of them saw a blood spray on the ground. They landed on the ground and investigated it. They found more blood and saw that it led into an alleyway. When they entered it, horror awaited them. They gasped at what they saw. Blood was everywhere, coating the whole alley. Bodies and limbs decorated the ground. They all looked like they were attacked by several beasts. In the middle of it all was a small boy. His whole body was covered in blood. One of the ninja reached for his sword when he recognized him, but was stopped by the leader. He looked at the boy's eyes. They were in shock. He kept looking at his hand and had a very confused and scared look on his face. The leader, who had silver hair that stood up, approached the bloody child. He knelt to his level and looked him in the eye. The small boy flinched and attempted to get away. "Wait a minute, I'm not here to hurt you," he told him. "No, you'll attack me like they did," he shouted. "I promise you that I won't. Just relax, you can trust me." "What happened here, and why are you covered in blood?" That stopped the boy in his tracks. He looked back at the mutilated bodies. He then looked back at his hands. "Did I do this? I don't remember. They threw things at me, and after that, the boy began to freak out. He grabbed his head and screamed. What is happening to me?" The silver-haired man shot forward quickly and placed his hand on the child's head. The little boy stopped, screamed, and suddenly fell over. The man watched as tears fell from the little boy's eyes. The man sighed sadly. "Minato-sensei, I'm so sorry. Look at what they have done to your son." Hiruzen Sarutobi was not a drinker. He enjoyed a good smoke and enjoyed his students' literature. He rarely drank, as it was a very depressing thing to do. However, tonight it would be a different story. He had just returned from the hospital, where he just finished visiting a boy he thought of like a grandson, Naruto Uzumaki. The report that his Anbu had told him disturbed him greatly. He, like several others, felt the wave of chakra that was released and knew what type of chakra it was. He had sent for Jiraiya in case the seal was weakening, but he knew that it wasn't the boy's fault. To think that these people would attack a 5-year-old within his home. It made his blood boil and did not feel sorry for those who died. Still, the fact was that Naruto used the Kyuubi's chakra and the council was in an uproar about it. Several called for his death, while a certain warhawk attempted to get him. He unleashed a large amount of his killer intent within that room that he put one council member in the hospital. He stormed out of the council room and grabbed some sack on his way to his office, telling his receptionist not to disturb him. He took a sip from his saucer when there was a knock at his door. "I said that I do not wish to be disturbed," Hiruzen said. "Sarutobi, we need to talk. Please, allow us entry." The old man sighed as he knew who was behind the door. "Enter." The door opened to reveal just who he thought it was. They were his old teammates, Koharu Udatane and Homura Mitakato. "Esteemed members of the council, what else can I do for you tonight?" he asked sarcastically. "Don't make us into enemies, Hiruzen. We have been teammates for too long for it to end," Homura said. "Just teammates, huh? Glad to know that our time together didn't make us friends." "Sarutobi, stop this. I know that you care for the boy, but you cannot just sweep this under the rug," Koharu injected. "You want me to either kill the boy or create a weapon. Sorry if I am acting crabby about it," he snarled. "What would you have us do then? As soon as word gets out about this, his life will be in danger. Minato would not want his son to be killed by the very people he protected," Homura said. "Do you think I don't know that?" Hiruzen snapped. He slammed the saucer on his desk. He looked out to the village. "I swore to his father, as he lay there dying, that I would protect him. I feel that I have failed him," he said sadly. "Not all of us see the boy as the demon. He is a shining hope, but this must be taken care of," Koharu said softly. Hiruzen sighed and looked out his window. He stood straight and turned to his former teammates. "I shall take responsibility for Naruto myself," he informed them. Koharu and Homura were shocked at that statement. "What do you mean by that statement?" asked Koharu. "I shall take Naruto in, I shall train him in the arts, and along the way, help him control his demon," he said. "That is insane. You can't do that," Homura shouted. "I refuse to kill the boy, and I would burn this village to the ground before I allow Danzo to take him. I will not be questioned about this. As of today, Naruto Uzumaki is under my care. Anyone who has a problem with that will be dealt with personally by me," he shouted back. The two glared at each other for a while before Koharu spoke. "If this is your wish, Hiruzen," she said. "Koharu," Homura exclaimed. "No, I have no reason to doubt your judgment. If you believe that this is best, then I will not stop you. The council will be informed of your decision," she said. Hiruzen said nothing, nor did he thank them. He walked past them and out his office. He had to inform Naruto of the change his life will take. Naruto awakened to the vision of white. He groaned as he tried to move. His body protested, but he ignored it. He forced himself into a sitting position and attempted to get his bearings. "You've awakened, that's a good sign." Naruto turned to the sound and smiled at who he saw. "Old man," he cheered. Hiruzen smiled at him. Suddenly he got quiet and looked at his grandfather figure. "I'm in the hospital again, aren't I? I'm afraid of Naruto. What do you remember about last night?" he asked. The young boy went into deep thought. "I was sleeping, dreaming about ramen," he began. Hiruzen smiled at that, as he was not the only one who liked the boy. "That's when I heard my door get kicked in. I knew that it may have been some villagers along with some ninjas, so I tried to get away. One of them caught me as I was jumping out and hit me with a kunai. I ran for a while, but they cornered me. They started to throw rocks and glass bottles. I was getting cut badly, and then there was a voice." "Voice? What voice?" "It was a scary voice. It told me to do bad things. It yelled at me, and that's when everything was blank. When I came there was blood and guts everywhere. I thought it was those men with animals for faces, but then I saw that I was covered in blood. Did I kill those old men?" The aged man looked at the boy and sighed. He knew that he could no longer keep his dark secret from him. "I'm sorry to tell Naruto that you did," he said. "Then, I am a monster," Naruto said sadly. No, you are not. They are monsters trying to kill you. Hiruzen explained. Why do they hate my grandpa? Naruto cried. Do you trust me, Naruto? The small boy nodded at him. You remember the story about the Kyuubi? Yeah, Yondaime kicked his ass and killed him. Well, that is only half true. Yondaime did kick his ass, as you say, but he could not kill him. Naruto gave him a confused look. Kyuubi is nothing but raw chakra and evil intent. It is a beast that has lived for years and only wreaks havoc when the world is plunged into evil. Despite Yondaime's great skill, he was not able to kill the beast. He could only seal him in the body of a newborn. Naruto was amazed by that. That's when something clicked in his head. He wasn't stupid like people thought. It just took a while for him to process things. That newborn he placed a Kyuubi in, it's me isn't it? Naruto asked. Hiruzen nodded slowly. But why was I chosen? This is why I ask you if you trust me. I cannot tell you that information. Naruto looked ready to shout at him, but he was stopped by the Sandaime. I cannot tell you because of the increased danger that you would be in. Seeing Naruto's confusion, he continued. The Yondaime, Minato Namikaze is his name, and had many enemies. Imagine if word got out that he used you to seal the Kyuubi. They would think that you were a weapon left by him to protect the village. They would do anything to have you killed. Naruto froze at that statement. It was bad enough that the village wanted him dead, but other villages trying to take his life was an eye-opener. I understand, I guess. Hiruzen chuckled at the sour tone, but he quickly gained Naruto's attention. Now listen, because last night it will be too dangerous for you in your home. I would have waited until you reached 7 before sending you to the academy, but we must start your training right now. For this day forward, you shall be my student. He said. Really? Naruto asked in joy. He started to jump up and down on the bed in celebration. All right, I'm one step closer to becoming Hokage. You still want to be Hokage? He asked. Well yeah, I'm going to have to find a new reason for being the Hokage, but I'm still going to take that hat from you. Hiruzen looked at this boy in amazement. Even after everything he's been through, his will is still so strong. He smiled at his future student. Well Naruto, let's get you out of here. Right, Naruto threw the covers off him and looked for his clothes. He couldn't help but wonder what the future held for him not. Hiruzen led Naruto to a small room within the Hokage mansion. The room was fairly big and offered the things that his old apartment had, with the exception of a bathroom and kitchen. Naruto just looked around his new home and took everything in. So, how do you like it? Hiruzen asked. It's really cool. Are you sure that I won't be a bother? Naruto asked. Not at all. Hiruzen looked to his left as an Anbu member appeared next to him. He whispered something which made him nod. The Anbu disappeared and Hiruzen turned his attention back to Naruto. Naruto, I have something to take care of. Get yourself situated and get some rest. If you need anything, ask my daughter. She is down the hall with my grandson. Okay, Naruto said. Hiruzen left and Naruto was alone again. He dropped his bags and fell on the bed. He decided that some sleep wasn't a bad idea. The Sandaime sat and faced the clan heads and council. He wasn't surprised to see them there, as word would have gotten around about his taking in Naruto. So, you've summoned me here. What is it that you want from me? Hiruzen asked. We would like you to explain your reasons for taking in young Uzumaki. Fugakuichi had demanded. Straight off the bat, as always, the old Kage muttered. Enough Sarutobi, the council will like to know your reasons for taking the boy. Hamura said. I would watch your tone, elder. I still lead this village. If you wish to challenge my authority then stand and face me. Hiruzen threatened. Sandaime please, we would like to know. Hiashi asked. As you wish, I am taking Naruto on as a student. I will train him in controlling his power. He explained. Are you mad? You would teach him how to use that beast chakra. Fugaku shouted. Even I have to agree, you've gone out of line. Inoichi added. And exactly how have I done that? I've already told you all that I will not kill him. I've also said that I would never give him to Danzo. He is not a weapon, but a boy who bears a burden that none of you cowards would ever handle. Several members shouted in rage at Hiruzen's words. How dare you, started Fugaku, but he was cut off when Hiruzen stood and hit them all with killing intent. Be silent or I will strike you down myself, he ordered. Everyone had never seen him so angry. They took him seriously and followed his order. I can only think about what Minato thinks of all of you right now. He gave his life for this village, and all he wanted was the boy to be seen as the hero that he is. You have all spat on his grave with your treatment of his legacy. Some had their heads down in shame. Yes, I understand that what I may be doing is totally insane, but what do you think will happen again if he doesn't learn to control the Kyuubi's chakra? Are you willing to place the villagers in danger? Are you saying that we are to blame? Asked a council member. It wasn't just a mob of villagers this time, there were ninjas that attacked him. Hiruzen stated. None of our clans would dare, Choza began, but Hiruzen threw a folder at him. He looked in it and gulped. Yes, among the dead was a Chunin from your clan, as well as a Genin from the Inuzuka clan. I guess I should punish both of you for not reigning in your members. Hiruzen threatened. Fine then, so what do you plan on teaching him? Asked Fugaku. Self-defense, tactics, and chakra control for a start. I will not allow the boy to be a target anymore. Anything else I teach him is none of your business. He said, causing Fugaku to growl. Many of the council still looked displeased with him, but he looked at them with sway. Hiashi stood up and faced him. Well, the Hyuga clan will support you, but know that he is your responsibility. If this happens again, then we will go to the daimyo. He stated. I understand. If there is nothing else, I will take my leave. Hiruzen stood and walked out of the room, leaving several unhappy people. The next day Naruto was with Hiruzen in a private training ground. Hiruzen was dressed in a black ninja outfit with a brown karate top. Naruto was dressed similar to him, but his top was a dark orange. Okay Naruto, before we begin, I need to go over some things with you. From now on, you will refer to me as sensei. Also, I want you to give it your all. I will have no whining or complaining. The second you do I will punish you. Am I clear? Hiruzen asked seriously. Hi sensei, I will do as you command. Naruto said with equal seriousness. Hiruzen smiled at him. Good, now drop and give me 20. Hi, Naruto dropped to the ground and did 20 push-ups. After that, Hiruzen had him do several other exercises including sit-ups, jumping jacks, and squats. Naruto did each one without complaint and wasn't even sweating. Hiruzen was amazed at the boy's stamina. Are you warmed up yet? He asked. Yes, sensei. Naruto replied. Good, stand by my side. Naruto did as he was told and stood by him. Get about 2 feet to my right. Naruto moved 2 feet away from him. Good, now you will follow my every movement. Watch and observe as I do this kata. Naruto stood and watched as Hiruzen went through a taijutsu form. When it was over, he returned to where he started and commanded Naruto to follow. Naruto did just that. He made a lot of mistakes and butchered the kata, but Hiruzen was patient and worked with him. After an hour and a half of form, Hiruzen started with his control. He told Naruto to stay still and make sure that the leaf stayed on his forehead. It was a challenge for Naruto, who was always active. He never did like sitting still. The leaf fell over several times, which frustrated Naruto greatly. Again, Hiruzen was patient with him. He even joined him in this exercise and explained it to him. This exercise continued for 2 hours. After that, they went back into shape. Naruto did the kata again. He still made mistakes, but not as many as before. Hiruzen corrected him for each mistake and explained that each strike should be done like he meant it. He even showed Naruto how he wanted him to punch to the maximum effect. It would be around noon when he called for a break. The two sat under a tree and rested. Hiruzen looked at Naruto and saw that he was finally winded. Still, he knew that he would be ready soon. Sometimes, getting old sucks. He thought. He turned to Naruto. Naruto, do you know why I'm training you? He asked. You want me to control the Kyuubi, right? Naruto said. Part of it is so that you can have control of the Kyuubi, but that isn't the only reason. I want you to be prepared for when I place you into the Ninja Academy in 3 years. Most of your training will consist of taijutsu, chakra control, and tactics. If you surprise me, I may teach you 1 or 2 jutsus. Really? Naruto exclaimed. Calm down, the techniques will not be that powerful, but they will be useful, but you have to earn them, Naruto. I will not give you anything else unless you earn it. Is that understood? Hiruzen asked. Yes, sensei, I will strive to do right by you. Hiruzen laughed and ruffled his hair. He now understood why Jiraiya liked training the hard workers. Geniuses were too easy to teach. It was a mistake he made when he took a team of his own. He had ignored Jiraiya in favor of Orochimaru because of the boy's natural talent. Tsunade took a field that he had no experience in, so left her to her own vices. He sighed and stood up. Break time is over. Let us continue with today's training. It would be 2 months since Naruto moved in with the Sarutobi family. He had gotten to know the old man's daughter, Toshiko, and was glad that she did not view him like many others did. At first, he thought it was because the old man was there, but she took him aside and the two talked. He was very happy to know that she saw him as the hero Yondaime wanted him to be. He was also close to 1-year-old Konohamaru. The two hit it off, as Konohamaru found Naruto's whisker mark interesting. He knew that the old man had a son, but he currently wasn't in the village. He had asked Toshiko about that, but she told him not to ask. Speaking of the old man, training with him had been very hard and tiring. He was a strict enforcer who did as he said. He remembered when he had gotten out of line and he had him clean the Inuzuka's dog kennels by himself. Still, it was worth it as he felt himself starting to get it. The forms were beginning to get easier and his muscles began to remember how each punch, kick, and block was done. The leaf exercise was starting to get there, but it was still very hard for him. Still, it did get him to focus more. Right now, he was at the Hokage Tower. The old man was doing paperwork while he sat still. Hiruzen had told him that this was an exercise in observation. He explained that a great ninja observes the situation instead of rushing into something that he knows nothing about. He added that many missions had ended in failure because there was a lack of information or lack of observation. Naruto found the exercise boring, but did as he was told. Suddenly the door opened and a man was ushered in. He was definitely a noble and definitely a Hyuga by his eyes. He carried himself as a high figure in the world. Naruto just thought he was a snob. He looked on as he and the old man spoke. He continued to observe everything around him with clear boredom. He turned back to the noble and noticed that his hands didn't look as delicate as many noblemen he saw. They looked rigid and there was a small case of callousness on his hand. Observing further, he saw that the man was always alert, too alert for a noble. When the discussion was over, the man bowed and left the office. Once out, Naruto turned to Hiruzen. "Hey sensei, was that guy a ninja?" he asked. "What makes you say that, Naruto?" "At first, I thought he was like all those other Hyugas that I've seen before, but his hands show signs of heavy training. There was also the fact that he seemed guarded and alert even with the 4 masked guys you have hidden," he explained. "4, what makes you say that I have 4 masked guys in this office?" Hiruzen asked. "There's one outside the window, the other is hidden in the corner near the window, and there are 2 guarding the door under what looks like a genjutsu." Hiruzen smiled at his student and was very impressed with him. "Very good, Naruto, that was a very good observation. To answer your question, yes, that man was Hiashi Hyuga, head of the Hyuga clan. He is one of the village's strongest ninjas. In fact, most of the Hyuga nobles are ninjas." That surprised Naruto greatly. "Today, we are going to spar and we will put this little exercise to the test." "Yes, sensei." Naruto and Hiruzen faced each other. Naruto looked at the man who had been training him for the past 2 months. He watched as he slipped into a fighting stance. Naruto took a similar stance and looked at his opponent carefully. "Okay, he's much older than me, so he can't be faster than me. That stance he has is set so that he could use his power. So if I move fast enough, then I can win this fight," he thought. "Are you ready, Naruto?" he asked. "Yes," he said, and prepared himself to charge. "Attack!" Hiruzen ordered, and Naruto took off. He was in striking distance as Hiruzen threw a punch at him. Naruto saw the punch a mile away and dodged to his left. He quickly threw a punch of his own that would have scored him a hit. Hiruzen caught the punch to Naruto's surprise and hit the blonde with a back fist. Naruto flew in the air by the blow but flipped himself back into his stance. Hiruzen was on top of him and struck him with a knee that forced the air from his lungs. He was forced to the ground by an elbow. Naruto struggled to stand while Hiruzen backed off. He waited until Naruto got his breath back and he sat up. "Now, what happened to you?" Hiruzen asked Naruto. "I underestimated you, sensei," he said. "And why did you underestimate me?" "I went with the fact that you were older and your stance was used for power, not speed. I thought that if I was fast enough that I could hit you. I figured that much. I'm Hokage for a reason, Naruto. I may be old, but I haven't lost my step. Also, I have fought in 3 wars, so my experience is limitless. What you must learn is that first observations are not always right. In a fight, your first observations can change in a flash, and if you're not ready for it, then you will die. Do you understand, Naruto? I think I do. Naruto answered. Good, now let us continue. Remember, do not count on your first observations. You have until dinner time to land a hit. Hiruzen said. Naruto nodded and slipped into his stance. Hiruzen followed his lead and commanded him to attack. Naruto charged and engaged him. Naruto never landed a hit on the old man, but he did gain a valuable lesson for which would save his life in the future. The reality of a Hokage. Hiruzen stood on the earth made of poles. He held a staff in a defensive stance and awaited Naruto's attack. He looked all around him as many clones of Naruto surrounded him, staff ready for attack. Naruto ordered the attack and struck. Hiruzen defeated the first wave easily, but he realized that it was only used for cover. He blocked the stab that came from within the smoke and spun around to destroy another clone. Naruto didn't give up as he continued to use the smoke as a way to attack and lashed out at Hiruzen. The old man countered every attack with some ease, but he was almost struck from below. He grabbed the staff and pulled Naruto up. Once in his face, he kicked him into the tip of a staff which dispelled him. He sensed more attacks coming from below and jumped in the air. Waiting for him were two Naruto ready to strike. They both brought their staff down on the old man's staff. Hiruzen winced a little but gave it little thought as two more Naruto jumped at him, intending to catch him in the gut. Hiruzen spun him to break out of the stalemate he had. He smashed his staff into one Naruto that disappeared in a puff of smoke and kicked the other Naruto that also disappeared. As he came down, he raised his staff in the air. He landed and drove the butt of his staff into one of the earth poles. Several other staff shot up from the ground and destroyed the poles and the clones. Once the dust settled, there were no more poles other than his. Naruto was struggling to free himself as one of the poles caught his shirt. Hiruzen took some deep breaths and sat down on the pole. He looked at his student and smiled. He almost had you that time, Sarutobi. Perhaps you are getting too old to be sparring with such a young child. Spoke to the staff. Perhaps you're right, my old friend, but I get some joy out of these spars. He is only 6 and he has progressed so far. Hiruzen said. Agreed, he is as hard-working as his father. Said the staff. An eye appeared and looked at Hiruzen. I've been meaning to ask, are you going to have him tap into his tenant's chakra? I have not found a safe way to do so. I tried meditation and he has access to his mental world, but it was only for a short time. He doesn't truly focus on it as he gets bored very easily. Do you think it's wise for him to even try? Wise, no, but it is necessary. While I am glad that Jiraiya's scan of the seal is positive, he will need to learn how to use that chakra at some point. Minato was a crafty man and didn't do things for no reason. Quite right, Naruto was able to free himself but fell on his butt. He held it in pain, making Hiruzen and the staff chuckle. Well, if there is nothing else, Sarutobi, I will take my leave. If you do plan on allowing him to sign the contract, please summon me so we can work out a deal. Of course, Enma, I shall call you. Hiruzen said and bowed. The staff suddenly turned into a man-sized ape. The ape did a hand seal and disappeared. Hiruzen stood up and jumped off the pole to check on his student. Another year had passed, making Naruto 7 years of age. His skills in Taijutsu, tactics, and ninjutsu had grown greatly. He had taught the Kawarimi no Jutsu and Henge no Jutsu. As Jiraiya's scan had reported, Naruto's coils were massive and produced more chakra than anyone in the village. Sarutobi knew that this would be used to hold the boy back, so he taught him the cage bunshin technique. It was the perfect technique for him, as he doubted Naruto would ever get tired from using it. He felt that it was time for the boy to join the academy. However, the council had a problem with that decision, or rather the Uchiha clan had a problem with that decision. They had called an emergency meeting to discuss it. Hiruzen sat beside the elders and had everyone seated. It has come to my attention that there is a problem with Naruto Uzumaki joining the academy. Hiruzen said. Yes, I feel that it is unfair that he joins the academy. He has had special training and will be more advanced than the other students. Fugaku stated. Care to explain that, Uchiha-san? I know from my sources that you have taught the boy the cage bunshin jutsu. Fugaku explained. That sent warning bells in Hiruzen's head. Have you been spying on me and my family, Uchiha? That could be considered treason. Hiruzen spat. That is not what I said. My sources have told me about what you have taught the boy. It is a B-rank genjutsu that should not have been taught to a 6-year-old. Fugaku argued. Is this true, Hiruzen? Asked Hamura. Yes, I did teach the boy the technique. However, there was a good reason that I did. Hiruzen stated. Sorry to say, Hokage-sama, I don't see a good reason for showing a 6-year-old a genjutsu. Shinobi said. I agree. What reason did you have to teach him such a jutsu? Inoichi asked. I assume that you have all read Jiraiya's report on the seal? He got several nods. If you continued to read, you would have seen that Naruto's chakra coils are the largest in the village. The reason behind it is because Minato's seal allows the Kyuubi's chakra to leak into the Naruto chakra network, so his coils were adjusted to deal with the other chakra source. The regular Bunshin jutsu was beyond him even if he learned chakra control exercises. In our training, I showed him the Kinobori no Shujin, and he still couldn't control his chakra to do the Bunshin. Still, that is still a dangerous technique for a child. It was very irresponsible of you, Hokage-sama. Hiashi stated. Hiruzen knew that he was not really siding with Fugaku, but making a point. He smiled at the council, which put them on edge. Then would you like a demonstration to place your worries to rest? He asked them. They mumbled and murmured before placing their attention back to Hiruzen. What do you mean? Asked Fugaku. Come by the stadium tomorrow, and all your questions and worries will be put to rest. Trust me, you will not be disappointed. Naruto was happily on his way to Ichiraku's for a celebration. He was given a ton of money as a reward for his performance today. While he didn't know why the council was there, he figured out that it was another shaft job they were planning. The looks of the Uchiha clan leader and several other council members told him everything he needed to know. Now, he was on the way to celebrate. He turned to see smoke coming from a different direction. Curious, he made his way to the site. When he got there, he saw a huge house ablaze. He turned to go get help when he heard the screams of 2 people. He was torn, as he knew that he should go get some help, but it would be too late and the people would be dead. Decision finalized, Naruto rushed into the burning house. He covered his mouth and kept his head low so that he wouldn't get smoke in his lungs. He moved toward the sound of screams and moved quickly. Reaching a room, he kicked the door down and saw 2 people hugging each other. Naruto looked at them and saw that they didn't have much time. He created several clones and pulled something out of his pocket. Outside, several Konoha ninja attempted to get into the house. A young 9-year-old girl attempted to get into the house but was held back by her uncle. Suddenly there was an explosion that blew out the front of the house. Naruto and 2 of his clones came running out of the house before the flames could consume the house. Naruto and his clones laid the 2 people on the ground. The Konoha ninja quickly went to see about the 2 that Naruto brought out. The clones were dispelled and Naruto took a few more steps before he fell to the ground. Naruto woke up to a white ceiling. He groaned and covered his eyes from the bright light that was on him. I have to stop ending up here. He groaned. I completely agree. Naruto turned to see the Hokage. There was also a man next to him. I remember you, you were at the house. Naruto said. Yes, my name is Unkai Kurama, and on behalf of the Kurama clan, I thank you for your brave efforts. You saved my brothers and my sister-in-law's lives. Unkai said and bowed to Naruto. The blonde grinned at the praise. Did you guys manage to stop that fire? Naruto asked. Both men looked at each other with nervous glances. What? Nothing for now, get better, and we will talk about it. I promise that I will keep you in the loop. Hiruzen said. He and Unkai left a confused Naruto to recover. Naruto, please come in here. Hiruzen called out. Naruto entered his private room, where Hiruzen did his calligraphy. He was wearing his training gi he used when training him. Naruto sat before him and waited for him to continue. Hiruzen sighed and faced him. First off, I would like to say that I am very proud of you. You did act without thinking, but your actions saved the lives of 2 people. However, there are certain things that you must know about that fire. The first thing being that it was not real, it was a genjutsu. Naruto was shocked by it. Are you sure, sensei? Those flames felt very real. I have the burns to prove it. Naruto said. Do you remember that man from before? Naruto nodded at the question. That man is part of a small clan called the Kurama clan. They are a clan of some of the most talented genjutsu users. They are very talented in that area. However, once in every generation, there is a Kurama with skill so great that they can cause physical damage to their opponent. Naruto looked very stunned and amazed. Hiruzen continued his speech. At this moment, there is a Kurama with such a talent. What is going to happen to that Kurama? Naruto asked. At first, I had a tutor attempt to help the person control their ability, but the tutor proved to be unable to do it. I had that tutor seal her power when I thought she would be a threat, but their power broke the seal and unleashed its fury. Hiruzen explained. You talk as if this power has a mind of its own? From what Ankai told me, power takes the form of another persona. If the Kurama can't control this persona, then the persona will take over. Hiruzen added. So why tell me, sensei? The girl, her name is Yakumo, has been loudly telling the clan that I was responsible for the fire. The clan knows that is not true, but she is strongly convinced that I and her tutor, Kurenai Yuhi, plotted the whole thing. She probably overheard what Kurenai and I had discussed and mistook it. Now I am faced with a dilemma. Ankai and the clan want me to put her to death. Her parents are not willing to do so and are willing to go so far as to leave with her out of Hai no Kuni. I can't do that because of what our enemies will do. I ask you, my student, because you wish to be Hokage, and a Hokage must make a choice of such difficulty. Think of it as a test. Hiruzen said. Naruto looked at him and saw that he was very serious. Well, I won't kill her. It's not her fault that she was given such a gift, that's just an evolutionary process. I do believe that a stronger seal is needed, but this seal should only be used with her consent. I know how it feels to not know why things happen. I would sit with her and her family, explain what was misunderstood, and offer my plan to them. A good plan, but what is to stop her second persona from overcoming the next seal? Hiruzen asked. Then I would suggest a better seal master, one who has years of experience. Naruto countered. Do you truly believe that experience really matters? Yes, because an experienced seal master can learn the mistakes of the first seal and improve it. Why not just use the stronger seal and put her in confinement? Her parents won't allow it. If you try to have them silenced, she would be even more resentful of you, Yuhi-san, and all of Konoha. Hiruzen looked at his student carefully. Naruto did not waver under his gaze. He smiled at Naruto. Your answer was satisfactory, but you could have been a little more convincing. Hiruzen stood up, followed by Naruto. Hiruzen led the blonde back to his room. 2 weeks later found Naruto standing in front of the academy gates. He was wearing a pair of black pants, a dark orange and blue kimono top with a mesh shirt underneath, black sandals, and arm guards. He had a small ponytail in the back of his head as he allowed his hair to grow out some. He was a bit nervous about being here as he knew some of the instructors would be out for him. A hand fell on his head and he looked up to see the Sandaime. The wise old man gave him a smile and pushed him forward. Naruto groaned and got in line with the others. After a while, one of the instructors stood in front of the group. He wore the standard outfit of a Chunin, his hair was tied and had a scar running across his nose. Greetings, my name is Iruka Yumino and I will be your teacher. I would like you welcome to the academy, he said. Naruto wondered what the next 4 years were going to be like. Naruto sat toward the back and waited for the games to begin. As he entered the building, he saw the teachers giving him a look. He ignored it as best as he could, but he was still worried about what they had planned. He began to wonder who was going to be his instructor for the next 5 years. The door opened, and in came the instructor from early. Iruka was his name, he remembered. Okay class, let's settle down, he said. The class was still a little rowdy. Class, they still ignored me. Iruka took a deep breath. Sit down and shut the hell up, he roared. The class quickly shut up and began to wonder how he did that with his head. Iruka returned to normal after getting their attention. Listening to your name, Iruka read out each name that was on his list. When he reached Naruto's name, he paused for a short while. Iruka knew who he was and was very impartial toward him. His parents died while fighting the Kyuubi and hated the demon for it. He knew that Naruto wasn't the Kyuubi, but he couldn't help but be angry. Still, he was an instructor and he would not follow the crowd when it came to him. He would still be impartial and just wait and see. Okay, we'll begin with a little history, Iruka said, causing some to groan. First question, what 2 clans founded Konohagakure no Sado? He looked around and his eyes landed on Naruto. Uzumaki, answer the question. Naruto stood and faced him. Konohagakure no Sado was founded by the Senju clan, led by Hashirama Senju, and the Uchiha clan, led by Madara Uchiha. Naruto answered. Very good Uzumaki, you may be seated, Iruka said. Naruto sat down, and Iruka continued with the lesson. Naruto stood along with everyone else outside. They were lined up in 5, each line facing a wooden target. Each target had 5 spots with bullseyes. Naruto watched as everyone threw their shurikens. Some of them were just awful, while others were decent. This one girl was amazing, as she hit every target dead on. She would be really scared when she graduated. It was now his turn, and he stood at the line. The guy who was watching his line glared at him, but he quickly changed his look and handed him some shuriken. Naruto didn't miss the glare and noticed that these were different shuriken. He sighed and looked at the target. In seconds, 8 shuriken hit each bullseye. While it wasn't dead on, it was close enough. The instructor was surprised that those shuriken made it to the dummy. He frowned, but Naruto had already moved to the end of the line. Naruto ducked and weaved as the instructor lashed out at him. He heard Iruka tell the guy to take it easy, but he ignored him and continued his assault. He noticed that he was beginning to get winded, so he stopped dodging. The instructor hit the ground when Naruto's fist connected with his gut. The instructor was taking deep breaths while Iruka walked up to him. "Uzumaki, this was a spar. There was no need to hit him that hard," Iruka shouted. "Sorry sensei, I didn't control my strength." Naruto apologized. "I won't take points off this time, but in the future, you will control your strength when sparring," Iruka commanded. "Hi sensei." Naruto walked out of the circle while Iruka checked on his fellow instructor. Naruto walked out of the academy, taking in the glares from the parents that came for their kids. He wasn't expecting anyone since he knew that the Hokage would be busy. He sighed as he walked back to the Sarutobi compound. "Naruto," someone called out. Naruto looked around until he laid eyes on Toshiko. She had Konohamaru with her and was joined by a bearded man. "Toshiko-Nisan, what are you doing here?" Naruto asked in surprise. "Now, what is with that attitude? I came to pick you up from your first day of class," Toshiko said with a smile. Naruto was shocked, but it quickly changed into a smile. He turned to see the bearded man and looked at him. The man looked back at him, but didn't introduce himself. He placed a cigarette in his mouth, but it was quickly taken away by Toshiko. "I told you not to do that around me or Konohamaru. Now stop being rude and introduce yourself," the man grumbled, but did as he was told. "The name's Asuma. He greeted me." Naruto looked at him in surprise. "I thought you were still in the capital. Is it wise for one of the Shugenin Nishi to be away from the daimyo?" Naruto asked. "That's a surprise. How did you know that I was part of the group?" "Well, the sash is a dead giveaway," Naruto stated, simply making Toshiko giggle. "But to answer your question better, the old man told me that you joined the group. He says that with sadness though. I've never been able to learn why," Naruto explained. "I see he's been teaching you about observing. Let's get going," Asuma said and began to walk away. Toshiko sighed and motioned for the confused Naruto to follow. Asuma stood on the balcony of the Sarutobi compound. He looked into the night sky and watched the full moon glow. He took a puff of his cigarette and blew out the smoke. "I see that you have found my smoking spot." Asuma didn't turn to face his father and continued to watch the moon. Hiruzen did not take offense to his son's behavior. They have always been at odds with one another. After a few minutes, Asuma spoke. "I was surprised that you took a student. Don't you think that you're a bit old to be chasing around a 7-year-old?" he asked. "Perhaps, but I have a sense of joy when teaching him," Hiruzen answered. "Making up for your earlier mistake years ago?" "Yes, but not from that time. I made a vow to Minato that I would protect him. I failed 2 years ago, I will not fail again. Why am I back here, old man?" "The daimyo released me for duty because you requested it," Asuma asked, finally turning to look at Hiruzen. "I heard about the coup," Hiruzen said. "I could have handled it. I really don't care what the people say. I'm no traitor," he explained. "I know that you're no traitor, but the people at the capital do. Your presence causes worry among the populace. Chiriku has already left and is doing well at the fire temple. I don't wish to be your father," Asuma stated. "I know you don't, but I need you here, son," Hiruzen said and walked away from him. Asuma turned back toward the moon and sighed as his life just got complicated. 3 weeks in, and Naruto was getting into the whole academy thing. The instructors still gave him a hard time, and the kids either stayed away from him or attempted to bully him. The only upside was that Iruka treated him fairly and was honestly impressed with him. He didn't pick on him like the rest and talked to him personally. The two even shared a bowl of ramen together. He did make one friend. His name was Rock Lee. The other kids picked on him because he couldn't do anything other than taijutsu. Naruto talked to him and told him that those idiots didn't know anything. The two would spar and would improve their stances and attacks. He didn't know how he stacked up in class, but he had a feeling that he was at least in the middle of the pack. Iruka entered and called for orders. After the last 3 times of being yelled at, the class did as he ordered. Today, we will be adding another student to our class. He looked at the door and a girl stepped in. She had on a purple and lavender top with only one sleeve and a matching skirt. She had long brown hair and light brown eyes. "Introduce yourself to the class," Iruka said. "My name is Yakumo Kurama. I'm 9 years old and a member of the Kurama clan. I like to garden and to paint. My goal in life is to control my clan's Kekkei Genkai, become head of my clan, and to be the greatest of Genjutsu users," Yakumo introduced. Naruto was surprised by who this girl was. It had been a while since he heard the name Kurama. Truth was they kept to themselves a lot lately. What Naruto didn't know is that there were a couple of incidents that were stopped by the Kurama clan as a way of thanking him for saving the leader and his wife. Iruka told her to take a seat and she walked toward it. Yakumo gave Naruto a glance before moving on to her seat. He didn't understand what the look was for, but he ignored it and began to pay attention to Iruka. Lunchtime came around and Naruto was again alone with his ramen. He thanked the gods for Toshiko who would ignore the old man's strict eating menu. Suddenly, a shadow fell over him. He sighed and looked up but was surprised to see Yakumo. "Your name is Naruto Uzumaki, right?" she asked. "Yeah, I'm Naruto Uzumaki. Is there something I can help you with, Kurama-san?" Naruto asked. He watched as she bowed to him. "Thank you very much for my second chance," she said. Naruto looked confused. "Perhaps I should explain. It's like this." Flashback, Hiruzen stood with Kurenai on his left. He faced Yakumo, Murakumo, Yoroko, and Unkai Kurama. Yakumo glared at both the Sandaime and Kurenai. Despite her mother and father explaining everything to her, she was still upset at both of them. Kurenai had no faith in her, while Hiruzen ordered her to do something without her consent. "Now that everything has been explained, I would like to ask you a question, Yakumo. Do you still wish to be a ninja?" Hiruzen asked. Yakumo looked at the Sandaime with caution. He smiled as he continued. "While your daughter is physically weak, she can grow stronger with proper training. However, her lament powers are a problem. What I suggest, with your permission, is seal Yakumo's Kekkei Genkai. I will send for my student to do the sealing, as the one placed on your earlier did not work." "So you will send for Jiraiya-sama?" asked Yoroko. "Yes. When the sealing is done, I would like for Yakumo to go to the academy to learn. I assure you that we have some of the best instructors that will help young Yakumo." "You mean to keep an eye on me?" Yakumo said. Her father looked at her, but the Hokage held his hand out. "If you would like to put it that way, then yes. You must understand, Yakumo, that your ability is very dangerous. If it wasn't for my student, I would have placed you away with constant Anbu patrol," he said, making Yakumo gulp. "Now, I've decided that the Kurama clan is very important to Konoha, and to have you angry at Konoha will not do. So, if you still wish to be, you will be enrolled into the academy. As for your Genjutsu, Kurenai. No, I don't want her as my teacher," Yakumo stated. Kurenai didn't say anything, but she did have a frown on her face. "I'll teach her," Unkai said. "Brother," Murakumo whispered. "While I totally disagree with this choice, I do care for Yakumo. I will be her teacher and show the way of the Kurama clan," he explained. "Good, I will send for Jiraiya at once," Hiruzen said with a smile. "Present. I don't know what you said to the Hokage, but I thank you, and you forever have a friend with the Kurama clan," Yakumo said and bowed. Naruto grinned but had a sweat drop on the back of his head. Inside his office, Hiruzen watched from his crystal ball. He found it just too funny how nervous Naruto was. The boy had just made his first step into politics and he didn't even know it. Jacken has many things. He was older than the other students, he was bigger and stronger than the other students, and he was a bully to many of the students. It was just something he liked doing from time to time. However, he was smart on who to mess with, and he made sure that he wasn't caught. He decided to pick on his next target, Naruto Uzumaki. He didn't really care why the instructors glared at him or why his father's drunk ass of a father told him to mess with him at every turn, but as long as he wasn't getting in trouble, who was he not to go for it? The thing was that Naruto didn't do anything when he messed with him. He either just ignored him or didn't bother with him. It pissed him off so much that he almost belted him, and he would have if Iruka hadn't been there. Suddenly, that new student came in a week ago. He finally had something seeing that they were very close friends. Naruto was eating his lunch with Yakumo when a shadow fell over the both of them. He sighed and turned to face Jacken. "Well, if it isn't a pipsqueak. And I see that you've finally gotten a friend." Jacken mocked. "Hello again, Jacken, what do you want this time?" Naruto said. "You know this guy Naruto-san?" Yakumo asked. "Naruto-san, why is she giving you so much respect, demon?" Jacken asked. "Excuse me, but what the hell are you doing disturbing us? Perhaps you should leave us and go roll in the mud." Yakumo shouted. "What did you say to me? I'm sorry, I didn't know that you were stupid as well as slow." Jacken boiled with rage and cocked his fist back. He threw it, intending to smash the girl's face in when he was suddenly in the air. He landed hard on the ground but was in pain as Naruto held his arm in place while twisting his wrist. "Listen, Jacken, you may be a bully to me, but the minute you attack one of my friends is when all bets are off. Do it again, and I promise you I'll do a lot worse," Naruto said coldly. "Why, you little shit," Jacken snarled. "That'll be enough, both of you," Iruka exclaimed. Naruto released him, and Jacken stood up. He glared dangerously at the two standing in front of him. "I see that you haven't been listening to Jacken." "What? But I didn't do anything," he shouted. "I watched the whole thing. I think that you, my father, and I need to have a talk after class," Iruka informed me. Jacken flinched, but he glared even harder at Naruto. "This isn't over, Uzumaki, count on it," Jacken growled. Jacken was dragged away by Iruka. Naruto just sighed as his days at the academy just got harder. Hiruzen waited until Naruto came back from the academy. He needed to do another exercise with his pupil. He was very proud of him, but he felt that he was still a bit rash. Yesterday's spar showed that he still did not think before acting. He wasn't only training him to be able to defend himself, but he was teaching him how to be a complete ninja. Hiruzen heard footsteps rushing to the balcony. Naruto blasted out in his training clothes and was waiting for the training exercise. Naruto was surprised to see the old man still in his Hokage robes. "Sensei, aren't we going to start training now?" Naruto asked. "Yes, we are. Sit down, Naruto," Hiruzen ordered. Naruto sat down in front of him and waited. "I am very proud of your progress as of late. You are getting better at controlling your chakra, taijutsu, bujutsu, and observing." "Thank you, Sensei. However, I am very disappointed when it comes to your tactics. I do admit that you have an uncanny ability to think of a plan on the fly, and it is useful. Still, you must learn to plan your tactics much better, so I have a new exercise. In front of you is a shogi board. Many warriors and generals use this as a way of planning," Hiruzen said. "So, this is a game?" Naruto asked. "Yes, but it will teach you patience and increase your tactics. I'll show you how the game is played and how each piece is used. Then we will play a game, and your goal is to win. Is that understood?" "Hi, Sensei." Hiruzen just smiled as he showed his pupil the game of shogi. Hiruzen kept himself from laughing at his pupil. He watched as Naruto was sweating and racking his brain as he looked at the board. Hiruzen wasn't very surprised that he had not been forced to use the Yugura Gakoi to beat him. Naruto made his move but was very hesitant to make it. Once it was made, Hiruzen dropped in on Naruto's territory. The young blonde whined and rubbed his head. "I think that's enough for today," Hiruzen said in amusement. "No way, I'm not done yet. One more game," Naruto exclaimed. "Now, I know when to quit, Naruto. I've been playing this game for quite a long time, and I'm very good at it. You can't expect to win every time," Hiruzen said calmly. "Yes, Sensei," Naruto muttered. Hiruzen chuckled and ruffled Naruto's hair. "I want you to remember and analyze your performance today. We will be playing this once every week to test your improvement." Naruto nodded as Hiruzen led him into the compound. Yakumo and Lee were concerned for their friend. He was muttering to himself and scribbling down stuff. Yakumo recognized the doodles as a shogi board. "What are you doing?" she asked. "I have to figure out what I did wrong," Naruto answered. Lee and Yakumo were confused, so Naruto explained some more. The old man is testing me with a game called shogi. Something about tactics and patience, it sounds boring to me. I would think that the student of a cage was a bit more intelligent than this. A voice said. All three turned to see a boy who was followed by several girls. Naruto noticed that Yakumo was glaring at him for some reason. And you would be? Naruto asked. His name is Hyuga Neji. He is also known as the Hyuga Prodigy and in line to be this year's Rookie of the Year. Yakumo said coldly. Boyfriend of yours? Naruto jokes. The glare she sent his way made Naruto duck behind Lee. She turned back to Neji. What do you want, Hyuga? Yakumo asked hotly. I came to see why the Hokage would waste his time with such a person. He said. He turned to look at Naruto. I see nothing special about him. His destiny is wrapped in failure. Yakumo glared, and even Lee looked offended. Naruto looked at Neji with a calculating gaze. I didn't know that the Hyuga clan had such an ability. So you can see into the future, Neji? Naruto asked. That question surprised Neji, as he expected him to get as red as his two companions. Still, he kept his cool expression. These eyes can see deep within your soul. It is why the Hyuga is the most powerful clan in Konoha. Neji stated. I think the Uchiha would dispute that, but who am I to judge? Sorry for interrupting, you were saying that your Kekkei Genkai can see the future of what would happen to me. Naruto said. Everyone is born with an unchangeable destiny. It is something that they can't change, that they can't fight. We must all submit to that destiny and accept it. You may train with the Sandaime, but it will not change the fact that you would be nothing more than average. Neji explained. Are you saying this because you are part of the branch house of the Hyuga? Naruto asked. Neji kept his stoic look. The head wrap is a giveaway. I've met some branch house members and they seem to hide that fact. Besides, I think that you're a bit off. Oh, what makes you say that? Neji asked curiously. You say that we are born with an unchangeable destiny, but I do not believe that. If that were true, I would have been dead, my friend Lee would have quit a long time ago because of his condition, and Yakumo would have been locked up somewhere. Yet, we are here and making our dreams come true. I will become Hokage, Lee will be a ninja of great skill without gen and ninjutsu, and Yakumo will be the greatest genjutsu user in the world. Destiny is what we make it. It isn't set in stone. Naruto explained. You speak of being Hokage, but the Hokages were all great ninja, and you would be nothing but average. Neji said. Maybe, but every Hokage was average at the beginning, before they became great. You are a prodigy, so perhaps you can become Hokage? Naruto asked. That is not part of my destiny. I am a caged bird, trapped within the clan. My destiny is to serve the Hyuga, nothing more. Neji said. Well, as your eyes said, I'll be nothing but an average ninja. If that is the case, I'll strive to be better and become greater than the previous Hokages. I believe that's my destiny. Neji looked at Naruto, who didn't flinch from his gaze. It had interested him some. It seems that we have a difference in opinion. I was expecting a very different outburst from you. Neji admitted. Well, training with the old man has its perks. Naruto said with a large grin. Neji smirked and walked away from the three. Yakumo looked at Naruto in amazement. I can't believe it. You actually matched Neji in a fight of words. I've never seen him ever back down when he starts spouting that crap about fate and destiny. Yakumo exclaimed. Naruto just scratched his head as Lee praised him. The next 2 weeks left the young Uzumaki racking his brain. He was getting a bit better at playing shogi against Hiruzen, but he still could win. It was as if that board was mocking him. The old man just kept telling him that this was a lesson in patience, but the game was so boring and too hard. What the hell did patience have to do with being a ninja or Hokage anyway? He took a couple of deep breaths before continuing his research of his matches. His research was cut short as he heard the sound of something flying through the air. He rolled out of the way as 3 shurikens hit the tree he was leaning against. He turned and saw Jacken. He hadn't seen Jacken for a long while and was very confused about what the hell he was doing here. He looked back at the tree and saw that those shurikens were real. What the hell, man? Those could have killed me. Naruto shouted. What do you think I'm doing? I'm sick and tired of your face. Not like I'll get in trouble anyway, everyone in the village seems to hate you. I'll be doing them a favor. Jacken snarled. Naruto wasn't too surprised about him knowing how the village treated him, but he was suspicious of his reasons to kill him. There was no way he knew about the Kyuubi. No one in the village would have risked sure death. Jacken threw some more shuriken at Naruto. Naruto jumped out of the way and into the forest area. "Where are you going, Pipsqueak?" Jacken shouted and followed Naruto into the forest. Naruto looked back to see Jacken tossing shuriken at him, but he stayed very far in front and near the trunk of the tree. Naruto saw that Jacken was stacked prime with shuriken pouches, so trying to outlast him was out of the question. Suddenly he remembered something about this forest. Naruto pushed off the tree and rocketed to his left. Jacken followed him and continued his attack. Naruto made a quick turn and made his way back very quickly. Jacken was on him and threw some more shuriken. Naruto kept moving and dodging until he saw what he was looking for. Naruto quickly jumped toward the ground with Jacken following. The insane kid threw 5 shuriken that hit Naruto in the back. Jacken smiled, but Naruto suddenly disappeared in a puff of smoke. Jacken said in confusion. "Jacken?" Naruto shouted. Jacken turned and was hit in the face with Naruto's staff. Jacken hit the ground hard and skidded toward the fence that Naruto was heading for. Naruto landed and watched as Jacken rolled around in pain. The blow was not that hard, so Naruto was confused by his pain. Also, why was Jacken holding his sides? He watched as Jacken struggled to stand. "Okay, Jacken, you're going to answer some questions. Why the hell are you trying to kill me? I've done nothing to warrant such actions." Naruto said. "It's your fault. I wouldn't be hurting as much if it wasn't for you." Jacken gasped. "What are you talking about? I haven't seen you in 2.5 weeks, and all I did was twist your wrist. You would have been fine the next day," Naruto said. He watched as Jacken reached for his weapons. "This isn't a plot that you came up with, is it? Who are you working for? I'm not going to tell you shit. I'm going to finish you off, Uzumaki," Jacken shouted. "I'm sorry to say that won't be a possibility," a voice said. Jacken and Naruto were suddenly surrounded by people with masks on their faces. "Lay down your weapons and put your hand up," a large man with a bear mask said. Naruto complied immediately and dropped his staff. Jacken saw this as an opportunity and reached for a few shuriken. The masked people were much faster and easily took Jacken down. He screamed in pain as they dropped him to the ground. The leader noticed that he was coughing up some blood. "What are you doing? Why are you being so rough with him? We took him down easily. We didn't slam him down or anything," the ninja said, who was very worried. "Sir, I think he was already injured. When he attacked me and I defended myself, I hit him toward the ground. He was reeling in pain and holding his sides," Naruto informed me. "Shut the hell up, Uzumaki," Jacken shouted. The man in the bear mask looked on and decided to investigate. "Take him to the medics, knock him out if he resists. Uzumaki, you will explain this now. If I recall, you aren't allowed within 100 feet of an Anbu facility," he said. Naruto just chuckled sheepishly. Hiruzen, flanked by Homura and Kaheru, sat and waited for the two to give their reports. One was the Anbu captain who found the 2 boys, and the other was the head medic at the hospital. He turned to the Anbu captain first. "What do you have to report?" Hiruzen asked. Young Uzumaki was telling the truth. He was attacked by this Jacken kid. "We found where the battle began, and Uzumaki must have known that one of our facilities was in the area. Naruto probably lured him toward that spot, probably aware that we have sensors around the place from his last prank," the Anbu captain reported. Hiruzen nodded and turned toward the medic. Naruto was correct about Jacken's injuries. They were not caused by Naruto's staff, that much I know for sure. The only injury that Naruto made was a small bruise on the side of his face. Jacken has multiple bruises on his chest, stomach, and back. There was mild internal bleeding that was easily taken care of. We also discovered that this is not the first time. We saw that all of Jake's bones have been broken before. Our final conclusion is that he has been greatly abused and very intensively," the head medic said. Hiruzen frowned at the report and wasn't happy. He looked toward the Anbu captain. "Bring in Jake's father and have a Biki talk to him," Hiruzen said. "Isn't it a bit extreme?" asked Kaheru. "Extreme, yes, but if this boy is being abused to such a degree, then the boy's father must be questioned," Homura explained. Hiruzen nodded and the Anbu captain was gone. "Keep the boy in the hospital until his injuries heal. I will visit him myself and we will get to the bottom of this," Hiruzen said. The head medic bowed and was gone. He turned to his advisors. "What do you think?" "Well, we certainly don't think that this boy had anything to do with this. Kaharu said. You're thinking that the father had something to do with this? Hiruzen asked. Perhaps we should have Inoichi look through his mind and find out. Homura suggested. I believe that's what must be done. Hiruzen agreed. Kaharu looked apprehensive about such an action. We don't have a choice. If this boy has been abused for such a time, then he will attempt to hide it. We must know how long this has been going on and must fix it. What if it can't be fixed? Kaharu asked. Then Jacken will be removed from the program. We do not need such instability within the ranks. Hiruzen said. Homura nodded, as did Kaharu. Thanks for watching my video. Leave a like if you enjoyed my video and also do consider subscribing to my channel for more awesome content. If you want the next part of this story, let me know in the comment box. See you next time. Till then, sayonara.